Live at Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, bringing you the best in real Texas barbecue. This is Sooner Sports Talk on the Sooner Sports Network from Learfield.
Got into the paint, skip out, corner, three-pointer in the air, short, and went! Front iron and crawled in! Breakaway, he lines it up, hammer!
This is Sooner Sports Talk.
All right, welcome back to Rudy's, everybody. It is time for Sooner Sports Talk. We're going to spend the next hour talking Oklahoma basketball, and what a first semester it has been for both of our teams. Next half hour, Jenny Baranczyk will be here. Skylar Vann and Aubrey Jones coming with her tonight. They're up to number 10 in the rankings after that big comeback win over Louisville. But this first half hour, we're talking about the men's basketball team. No Porter Moser tonight. I'm sure he's off landing a 5-star recruit somewhere. I'm not exactly sure. But in his stead, two of my favorite people, a couple of Sooner assistant coaches. Armand Gates here in a bit. Brock Morris joining us right now. Coach Morris, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Toby.
Great to have you with us. Boy, what a great start. 9-0, up to number 13 in the rankings. One of only 3 remaining undefeated teams among the Power 4 conferences. Considering all the new guys this year, are you surprised that you've gotten off to as good of a start as you have?
Surprised? Not really. I think we saw it coming early on, their chemistry, right? We've got a really good mix of toughness and skill. The surprise might be that you have so many new players come together so fast. Yeah. But I think that's a credit to Coach Mosier. I mean, every year he's gotten off to a hot start. He does a good job of blending old with new, and here we are again.
Opening segment is always brought to you by McIntyre Law, Noble McIntyre, McIntyre Law, the law firm you should turn to for all your personal injury needs. This week, 2 wins. The SEC-ACC Challenge game over Georgia Tech got the Yellow Jackets 76-61 in the LNC. And then Saturday night was the second annual McCaslin Fieldhouse game, a 94-78 win over Alcorn State. Both of those games have been kind of similar to what it has been for you guys all year. You've been a really good second-half team.
Right.
Now, maybe you would like to get off to a better start. I don't know. But if you're going to pick a half, that's the half to pick. Yeah. What do you attribute that to?
You know, I think, and Coach says it all the time, this group has shown a propensity for getting better and learning, right? So we say, hey, we didn't guard ball screens well in game 1. All right. So we're going to come out. We're going to really focus on that in practice. They do a great job. I think you're seeing that internally in a game, okay? So we go into halftime. It's pretty fast, right? We're trying to make some decisions. We make 3 or 4 adjustments on each side of the ball, and they've shown the ability, which I think is a sign of high intelligence, right? Say, okay, we got to get that in the game. We understand. Let's go do it. That, to me, and you know, we've been doing this a while now, all of us, when you have a team that can adjust on the fly.
They're taking the coaching and applying it.
You have a chance to win. Yeah. And I can tell you this. Coach Mosier and I were joking, from a defensive standpoint, right? Georgia Tech actually was the most complicated in-game adjustment that we've ever coached together in my 2 years. And it was just the personnel, it was a matchup. They were countering what we were doing. Literally every time out we were making an adjustment, and our guys were responding. And you saw that game in the second half to go out and really guard them the way we did.
Jalen Moore is having a great year. He had a great week, 20 points against Alcorn State. But the Georgia Tech game,
right,
that's his former team. They were out to get him.
Yes.
He wanted them. It was spicy at times, but, boy, how great has Jalen been for you this year?
Well, I think everyone's excited for Jalen, right? So there was a lot of storylines in the Georgia Tech game, all right? Former players not here, and obviously Jalen started off at Georgia Tech. I think Coach does a great job, our staff does a great job of, we don't ignore the obvious, okay? So we talk about the storylines. And I think what our guys said, we don't care about who's not here, but we care about who's in that locker room, and we're going to win for him, all right? And since he's left Georgia Tech, and I'm not going to go into all the details, but since he's left Georgia Tech, he's been pretty darn good. You know, honorable mention all Big 12. He's on track again for all SEC this year, and I love more than anything seeing him get a double-double on a team where he maybe not been asked to come back.
He was great. He took over the game in the second half. We'll take a look at some of the highlights. 15 points and 11 rebounds. He's averaging over 18 points a game on the year. Several 20-plus point outings, including going back-to-back in the Bahamas in the semifinals in the championship game with 24 points. But This is a good win. Of course, this is the challenge game against the ACC, but Georgia Tech came out and kind of punched you guys in the mouth early on.
Yeah, they did. And they've got Damon Stoudemire as the head coach, former NBA player and coach. He left the Celtics to come back to the
Mighty Mouse.
Georgia Tech. Yeah, Mighty Mouse. And he does a great job. I mean, he has a great scheme. They've got good players in the ACC. But I think once again you saw what I think this team has a chance to be special: adjustments, toughness, and winning.
I was asked this question on Saturday, and I think it's a good one. You guys started 10-0 last year.
Right.
9-0 this year. What's different about this team in your mind? I know time will tell,
Sure.
but what do you think is different about this team?
Well, I think we've talked about it. Their ability to be coached, right? Their ability to adjust, their ability to learn. We got a long ways to go now. I mean, we're really not even close to scratching the surface of what we could be, and I think that's encouraging.
Yeah.
Because you're still winning games as you learn. I'd much rather learn during a win than a loss.
You have your coaching history. You had stops at Alabama, at Ole Miss.
Yep.
So you've been around the SEC. This is year one for us. What do you think of this conference?
Well, I tell you this, and I've told everybody that'll listen, I was probably the most qualified person in the world to compare the SEC and the Big 12 last year, right?
Right.
I think I was one of one coach that actually coached in both leagues in back-to-back years. The Big 12 was by far better than my year in the, when I would come from Ole Miss in the SEC. It's flipped. There's no doubt. Coaching and all that is still great.
You're saying the SEC's better this year.
The SEC this year, and I grew up in the SEC. I've coached in the SEC. It is absolutely the best I've ever seen it. From top to bottom, it's as deep. I mean, Joe Lunardi has 12 teams, I think, in the tournament right now from the SEC.
Yeah.
I believe the record's 9.
9 or 10. There's 9 in the top 25 today.
So I think it speaks for itself. I think you're going to see that in the NIL era, right? You're going to see a separation with the teams who care. But here we are today. The SEC is pretty good.
The Bahamas trip, how much confidence did that give your team? Have you seen it since then? Have you seen them carrying themselves a little differently?
Great question. And I think you maybe be more qualified to answer that because you see us for a day, then you go away and you come back. I think these guys have believed they think they're going to be, I don't care who we roll out there, the Lakers. They just believe they're going to win. And I think Jeremiah Fears is a great example. Like, he's young and he doesn't know what he doesn't know, but he has zero fear. And then Kobe Elvis has played in 150 games in his career. Duke Miles, Glenn Taylor, obviously Jalen and Sam. You've got some older guys, and they just think they're going to win. Doesn't matter who they play. So you go down to the Bahamas, that's what they expected. I don't know if anybody else did, but they did.
Yeah, and they did it too. I'm glad you brought up Fears. It's such an interesting kind of dichotomy you have on your team. You've got a bunch of old heads. You got a bunch of guys who have played a ton of basketball in Kobe and Duke and Goodine and Jalen Moore and Glenn Taylor. And then you got the kid who just turned 18 like yesterday, and he could be a superstar, but it seems like from the outside, they've all they understand the talent and are trying to kind of wrap him and say, hey, bring him along. Bring him along here.
That's a much deeper story for a longer period of time. But let me tell you, the best thing, it's been twofold, right? The day Jeremiah Fears walked in the door, he understood he needed those old guys. He needed their wisdom. And we give him credit all the time. He allowed them to be a part of his success. He didn't walk in the door and say, I know everything, I'm the most talented. He walked in the door and said, hey, you guys that have played, combined 1,000 games, teach me. He kept his mouth shut, and he went to work. And then slowly they started realizing, hey, he's pretty good. It's hard to guard, right? And what you do is when you allow someone else to be a part of your success, they start pulling for you, right? And they realize he's probably one of the most unselfish superstars, as they labeled him, I've ever been around. And because of that maturity and, quite frankly, intelligence to understand, hey, I can use the wisdom of these older guys, those older guys have really poured into him. Yeah. And they like seeing him do individually well, and they know, hey, he makes us pretty good, right? And the other thing I would say about the roster is this, it's intentional. I don't know that Coach Mosier gets enough credit probably, right? Because when you go to build a roster nowadays, it's not just go recruit talent, right? You have to build a team. And I think in today's world, it's very easy. I think you see it across all sports. Let's go accumulate talent. Well, the Yankees have done that for years, and I don't remember the last time they won a World Series. Yeah. Right? And, sorry if you're a Yankees fan, but you can go buy the best players, but if you don't put together a team, you're going to have a hard time getting success. And Coach has gone out and intentionally put together experience, roles, along with talent. And I think now you're starting to see the result of that.
That's very well said. Bedlam coming up on Saturday night. We're going to talk to Armon Gates about that and the trip to Charlotte where the Sooners will see the Michigan Wolverines. Always love talking to you, Coach.
Absolutely.
Brock Morris, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Stay with us. When we come back, Armon Gates will be in that chair. You're watching Sooner Sports Talk here at Rudy's.
Sooner Sports Talk is brought to you by Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, bringing you the best in real Texas barbecue. Walden Cleaners and Laundry, where the difference is quality. Riverwind Casino, good times, great rewards. Dos Equis, the official import beer of OU Athletics. Go for Dos. Enjoy Dos Equis responsibly. Bob Moore Ford is proud to honor service members through the Patriot of the Game. Log on to Soonersports.com/kids for information about joining the Sooner Junior Kids Club presented by OG&E and brought to you in part by Orthodontics exclusively, Mathis Home, and Devon Energy.
Welcome back to Rudy's, everybody. It's Sooner Sports Talk, and it is my pleasure now to welcome in Sooner assistant coach, great dude, Armon Gates, with us tonight. How you doing, Coach?
All right. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you. 9-0, up to 13 in the rankings. I want to talk about the next two games in front of you guys. You got Oklahoma State Saturday, Bedlam in downtown Oklahoma City, folks. That's a 7 o'clock tip-off in the Paycom Center. Holiday Bedlam in downtown OKC. That's going to be fun. So let's start there. What's important for you guys against the Cowboys? Because it looks like they're starting to play pretty good ball here.
You know what? Most importantly, our guys, we have to keep them locked in. When they look at those rankings and being number 13 in the country, sometimes it could get to your head. So we talked to those guys about that a little bit. But coming into the game plan, I mean, those guys are playing so fast, well coached by Steve Lutz. And we just got to make sure we get back in transition defense because they're one of the fastest playing teams in the country.
Yeah, they want to get up and down the court for sure. And you guys don't mind getting out and running a little bit as well. And then you go to Charlotte for the Jumpman Invitational, third year of this thing, year one of Florida, last year North Carolina, this year Michigan. The Wolverines, and they got a new coach, and they're playing good ball too. This is going to be a good test.
100%. Dusty May's doing an amazing job there. Again, with that transfer portal, he brought in some really good transfers, a couple guys that we looked at as well. But we're happy with the group we have, and we're looking to go to war against anybody.
Here's a look at the upcoming schedule for the Sooners. You see the Cowboys there on the 14th, Michigan on the 18th. That's in Charlotte. And then back home the 22nd, the game before Christmas, Central Arkansas in the LNC. That's a Sunday. You get out of church, you come right to the LNC for a noon tip against Central Arkansas, then SEC play right after that. You were with Coach Moser at Loyola Chicago as well before you came here. What is it about Coach's style that you like, that fits, that is so successful?
Coach is an unbelievable teacher. He cares about the young man within his program. He always tells the guys to protect the team. But he learned that he got all the teaching and his terminology wall that he has. He call it the culture wall. He got it from Rick Majerus. Mm-hmm. And that's part of, again, I have aspirations to be a head coach, so that's something I'm going to always take with me is that culture wall and also teaching the game of basketball. The
culture wall is impressive. If folks aren't aware of what it is, kind of explain to them a little bit exactly what that is.
Pretty much the moment you step foot into our program, you'll see it in our locker room, in our film room, because he's a true teacher at heart. It's everything that we do within a program. If you post a box out, when a shot goes up and you pose a contest first, it says reach for the lights. Or if you're playing post defense, it's through you to the rim. So that means show those hands, don't reach down and negate really good defense with a foul. Show those hands because the referee, he wants to call a foul if he sees you raking down. So it's little things like that that goes into our culture, and that's why I heard you tell Coach Brock last year 10-0, this year 9-0. It's a big reason why, because we teach those guys from day one when they step into our program.
There's little sayings everywhere. I don't know how many there are, maybe 100 of them, I don't know. but they're everywhere, and everywhere you turn, you're hit in the face with make sure you reach for the lights or whatever the case may be. It gets buried deep in there because you see it all the time.
It's buried. You guys will laugh a little bit because every time there's a mistake, we look for it on the wall. Or during the game, we'll talk about it like, reach for the lights, hey, 3U to the rim, or 6 eyes, 6 arms. That's in transition defense, and that's one of our game plans against Oklahoma State. We have to get back in transition because they want to run, and they have to see 6 eyes and 6 arms covering up a lot of space. We got to cover up the floor.
I want to ask you about Bryson Goodine. Injured early in the year, veteran sharpshooter. I think he was the 3rd best at catch and shoot threes in the nation last year, right at 49%. But he got hurt and then returned when you guys went to the Bahamas. What a difference he seems to make for you. It's kind of a niche, but boy, it's an important one that he's got.
You know what? In Porter's offense, you guys can see, you're going to get some open shots, and we really shopped for shooters this year. You guys are missing Jadon Jones, a lefty from Long Beach State. He's a really good shooter, but Bryson Goodine, he started at the high major level at Providence, transferred over to Syracuse, or it could be vice versa, but we needed him in our program, and he transferred in from Fairfield. Really good shooter, and is translating here now. So, again, we really, with the transfer portal, we really sought after shooters to space the floor.
Your depth is impressive so far this season. There's been, Luke Northweather kind of came out of nowhere and was a big impact for you in the Bahamas. Mo Wagee disappeared for 3 or 4 games. Then he comes back against Alcorn State and had a really nice night. Dayton Forsyth hits 4 threes on Saturday night for you, the freshman from Dale High School. So, I don't know, 10, 11, 12 guys deep. You got a lot of guys that can really go.
You know what? It's very cliche-ish that what I'm going to say is, but it's next man up mentality. And our guys, to their credit, if they don't play one game, they step up when their number is called and they come prepared. So again, Coach Moser does an unbelievable job keeping these guys prepared.
This segment brought to you by Dos Equis, the official import beer of OU Athletics. Go for Dos. Enjoy Dos Equis responsibly. Here's some highlights from Saturday night's win in McCaslin Fieldhouse. Fun to be in the old gym.
Hey, unbelievable. It was an unbelievable atmosphere. Again, our guys had a lot of fun.
That's where Alvin Adams became a star in that place once upon a time. And whatever it is, last year I think you scored 110 or so in there. This year you were bumping on the door of 100, but the shots are going in when you guys go over to McCaslin.
No, absolutely. Again, our guys get excited because we talk about the tradition that place has.
Hey, speaking of coaching, you said you have head coaching aspirations. For those who don't know, your older brother, right? Older brother
yes,
is Dennis Gates,
yep,
who is the head coach at Missouri.
Yep.
And, wow, what a win for him on Sunday, knocking off the Jayhawks, huh?
Big time, big time. I called him right after the game. He ended up calling me back. He had some media obligations, but he said, man, our league is a monster because he knew we won the Battle of Atlantis, and then they just knocked off the #1 team in the country. So he's got me about 3 years, and I told our guys in the recruiting process, we need you in here because I need you to help me beat Big Bro. I got little brother mentality. I got that itis.
Yeah. Who was the better player?
You know what? I'm truly gonna give it to him. He played his college ball at Cal Berkeley, and he was a defender. I played my college ball at Kent State University, and I was more of a 3-point shooter. So don't ask me to play any defense, but I tell our guys to play some. So
that's great. Well, it's gonna be fun because I think we home and home them this year. We get them twice, right? Missouri.
We get them twice, and everybody in the building, please heckle him when he comes in town, and tell him that's for little bro.
It's fantastic. I'd love your thoughts on Jeremiah Fears. We heard what Brock Morris had to say. Unlimited potential. Everybody, I think he's caught the whole nation's eye already early this year, but what have you seen out of him?
The dude is special. He wants to be a great player. He's in the office every single day watching some defensive film with Coach Morris and sometimes with myself. We'll double team him sometime to make sure that he's hearing it from 2 different people and different languages as well. But this dude, he's special. He wants to be a player. His older brother is the starting point guard at Michigan State, so he's got that little brother-itis as well. He's got that. And I make fun of him a little bit, but he wants to win. He cares about winning, and he's really thrown himself into the process.
Where do you feel like we're 9 games in? Where do you feel like you got to get better? I know probably the answer is everywhere, but what's at the top of that list?
Well, I'm honestly say on a defensive end, again, Coach Morris and myself, we kind of help Coach Moser on the defensive end. And what we really need to improve on is our rim to defense, our post defense, keeping the ball out the paint. So, and Coach Morris said it perfectly. We're just scratching the surface. We're not even close to being what we're going to end up being. It still burns inside. And then we talk about as a team and a program all the time about last year's not getting into the tournament. And again, I think that's Jalen Moore is the head guy on that, because he was one of the main guys that cared that we didn't get in, and he stayed, and now it's paid off for him.
We talked about Missouri, but what have you seen out of the rest of the SEC so far? That's right around the corner.
I tell you what, Coach Morris came from the SEC, and he told us from the beginning, he said, guys, it's an athletic league. They play fast. It's the closest league to the NBA, and it's so true. It's the best conference in the country. And again, we don't look ahead. It's one game at a time, because if you look ahead, you're going to lose the next one that's in front of you. So it's one at a time. And we try to do a good job as a staff. We get appointed a scout. So the person who's 2 scouts away, we tell that coach, don't you say one thing about that team to Coach Moser and make him think about that game, because we have to win this one. And I think as a staff, we've been an unbelievable team, and it shows our players how good of a team we can be. They can be just as strong as we are.
You got the scout for Bedlam.
Yes, sir.
Coming up this week.
Yes, sir.
Who's got the? Have you already assigned the rest of the year?
Yeah. Well, the rest of non-conference we have.
So you don't know who's got Missouri yet.
This
Missouri?
This is the deal. I did tell Coach and the rest of the staff I do not want Missouri.
You know, okay.
But I'm going to help. I'm going to assist. But I just don't want to be that guy standing up yelling, hey, this play is coming. And that I just want to help. And of course, I want to win. I'm a little bro. I have that in me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to fight like ever, to get that dub.
I can't wait to watch. It's going to be so much fun. Hey, good luck against the Cowboys and against the Wolverines. Have a Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Thanks for being here tonight,
Happy
Coach.
holidays. Thanks for having me. Thank you, guys.
Armand Gates. Jenny Baranczyk will be here when we come back on Sooner Sports Talk.
Sooner Sports Talk is brought to you by Norman Hyundai, your premier Hyundai dealership for new and used cars. The best place to gear up for game day is shop.soonersports.com. The Sooner Sports Podcast is your all-access audio pass to Sooner Sports. Listen as Toby Rowland and Chris Plank talk all things Sooners. New episodes drop every day. Log on to Soonersports.com/podcast or search Sooner Sports Podcast in your favorite podcast provider. Presented by Allstate and Riverwind Casino. Orthodontics Exclusively is a proud sponsor of the Junior Captain of the Game. Junior Captain is the ultimate fan experience for children 6 to 12.
Welcome back, everybody, to Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. We're talking Sooner Hoops, and I am joined now by the 10th-ranked team in the nation after an unbelievable comeback at Louisville earlier this week. Jenny Baranczyk, Skylar Vann. How are we doing tonight, Coach?
It's hard to follow Armand. I tell you what, man, that guy is so positive.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, it was so great because I'm coming from, it's basketball parent time, right? It's mom basketball season and I've told Skylar this story, but my first grader had a project. And she was kind of acting up, and we had to run to go get some supplies for the project. Because believe it or not, I don't have a big craft closet at home. And I was like, well, we're not going to go if you're going to act like this. And she goes, you just want me to get ejected. And I was like, well, it's called expelled, but yes, but you definitely would have a technical foul the way that you're talking right now. So, yeah, that's life of a kid in parent coaching. That's what we're worried about, getting ejected.
That would be
school.
a fun approach for you, though, if you started giving your children technical fouls around the house.
During COVID, we would practice sight words, and parenting during COVID, when you're a coach for a kindergartner and a first grader, was not necessarily easy, but they were in shape. I was like, that's another lap towards the, So, yeah, I think that ship sailed.
Yeah.
But now I just get to make this one run.
Hi, Skylar.
Yeah.
How are
box
you?
out, you go.
Yeah,
She's
take
been
a
running
lap.
a lot lately.
Take a lap. Skylar's coming off a season-high 20 points against Alabama State, but we got to start with the Louisville game. Yeah, you can applaud for that. She was great. Louisville, the SEC-ACC Challenge game on Wednesday, down 17. I mean, it's Katie bar the door. They're hitting everything. It's not your night. This game looks like it's over. But
well, in all fairness, we passed it to them a lot.
You gave them the ball a lot. You did.
In that first half especially.
But never gave up and just scratch and clawed. And what a great comeback win for your team, Coach.
You know, it really was. And, you know, I was really impressed with the way that, the last 2 minutes really of the second quarter, we kind of started to make a run and kind of become ourselves. I feel like the first half we really struggled for the most part. We were in a lot of foul trouble. We had to kind of figure some things out. But that second half, it didn't just all of a sudden come back either. It wasn't like we just got hot.
Yeah.
We really had to grind it out, and I think that's the true testament of a good team, especially at a place like that where, you know, their home winning percentage is about like 85%. So it was definitely a gut check, but a really, you know, really good team win for us.
Skylar, what was kind of the mentality in the huddle? Was it the whole way you're like, we're still in this, or did it click at one point for you and you feel like, hey, we got a shot?
I mean, a cool thing about like our program is like it's never over. It's not over until it's over, until the buzzer sounds. So I think for us, obviously, like our mentality never shifted. We're like, we got to make some changes, got to take care of the ball. But I mean, we never thought the game was over at all. I think we just really got connected, and I feel like you could tell as the game continued to go in the second half.
The fourth quarter, you could see your confidence growing, the team's confidence growing, and Louisville start to doubt a little bit. Uh-oh, this is going to slip away. And you just kind of boa constricted them a little bit. You just took the life out of them and said, we're going to win this thing now.
Probably. I mean, I think, you know, it's hard when you have a team that you can just feel won't give up and just won't give in. And, you know, it was really interesting because they have a professional setup, meaning they put donors next to you. Next to the coaches. So there's 4 seats for donors that they have, which we might be implementing something like that.
In between the bench and the scores table, there's fans like you'd see at a Thunder game.
Yeah. And at one point, I mean, even the guy that was there, you know, after he got off the phone, because he was calling some friends, but after that, like, he was nervous. And I was like, well, we keep throwing it to you. And he's like, oh, no, you guys aren't out. You guys keep playing hard. You know, and these are just guys that I'm talking to,
to fans,
during
Louisville
the game.
Fans.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're Louisville fans. But they could sense that we weren't playing well. They knew we weren't playing well. They knew that there were some things, but we never tanked. And I think that's a sign from, you know, especially with our senior leadership. I think they just do a really good job of really trying to figure out how to do hard things and realize that they can. And you can fall on your face and you don't have to be perfect. And you're not afraid of whether or not you win or you lose. You just keep going. And I think that's something that we practice on a daily basis. But when you're able to be in that kind of environment and do that, that's pretty special.
Skylar, maybe you've won so many games and played so much basketball, we shouldn't make more of it than it was. But can a win like that, you know, from as deep as you guys came against a top 25 team on the road, can that do something for you guys? Do you feel like it did something to kind of push you on down the road a bit?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, Louisville's a great team, so definitely be able to come back from a 17-point deficit. I mean, that definitely, you know, boosts our confidence. I think we definitely had to look in the mirror after that game, though, and, like, you know, learn some things definitely from it, like taking care of the ball, getting stops. But definitely, like, I think it really kind of connected us as a team more so, like, when we're really connected and we're really focused and, like, really want the win, we can really pull it out.
Let's take a look at some Skylar Vann highlights. She goes for a season-high 20 points against Alabama State on Sunday afternoon, and you were feeling it, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's your response. Yes.
Yes,
No.
the answer is yes.
No, and I think, you
Broadcaster
know what,
boy.
though? I think Skylar does. You know, it's been and this is going to be kind of a fun journey, I think, to even talk about, not to shift her game from yesterday, because we know that she can do so many things, but there's relationships forming right now on court, and especially with a Reagan Beers, right? I think you can see Peyton Verhulst really stepping up. Look at what Sahara Williams continues to do, and Nevaeh Todd, I think, just continues to grow as well. So those 5 right now, have done a phenomenal job of really trying to grow and learn and fall on their face and still develop their own relationship on court, because that's not easy. You know, a year ago, it looked a little bit different, right? We didn't have Liz Scott. We talked about her we talked to her last week. We didn't have a Reagan Beers who really takes a lot of time in that paint. And so I think Sky's been really trying to navigate that space of like, do I go in that paint? Do I come out of that paint? And so I think she's shot a lot of threes so far. And I think in the last game, I think she's really been, as she liked to say, in the last few days. And then we remembered that it was the last few years that we've been talking about how much she needs to maybe be in the paint a little bit more because she's so effective in there.
We're running out of time here, but are you enjoying having little sis around, or is she just annoying?
Oh, I'm enjoying it.
You're enjoying it? You're on
she-
TV. You got to say that, right?
No, I am, though. I think
Yeah.
I'm just enjoying like watching her play and like actually being able to be her teammate's really cool. I've never done that before, so I'm just really proud of her, and she can be a little annoying sometimes.
That is great, though, how the timing worked out.
Yeah.
This is the first time ever that you guys have played on the same team.
Yeah, it is, and it's super exciting, and I think just being able to play under Ginny too, and then play with the teammates I've had for the past 5 years now, I think for her to be able to kind of get that environment, get the feel of playing with really good people, and also like just good teammates, I think it's really cool.
The Van family tradition carries on all the way from dad down through the daughters and everything.
Yeah.
Skylar, great job on Sunday all year long, and thanks for being here tonight.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate it. Aubrey Jones going to join us here when we come back on Sooner Sports Talk. Stay with us.
We want to thank all of our Sooner Radio Network affiliates across the state and region. Fans can check out Soonersports.com for an affiliate in your area. And if you're traveling outside the state of Oklahoma, you can listen to all the action on either SiriusXM Radio or download the Varsity Network app and listen free. Oklahoma Buick GMC dealers. See your Oklahoma Buick GMC dealer.
Welcome back, everybody, to Rudy's. We're talking women's basketball. Last segment was brought to you by the Riverwind Casino. Good times, great rewards. This one by Pike Pass. Make it home safe, Oklahoma. And please welcome Aubrey Jones now to the dais with us. Hi, Aubrey.
Hello.
How are you?
Glad to be here today.
Good to have you. Before I forget, next up, Sunday against ORU. So you got a little time off here before you play again. That is in the Lloyd Noble Center, 1:30 on Sunday. And then you're also going to Michigan. The men and women both are to Charlotte. The men and women both playing Michigan in Charlotte next Tuesday and Wednesday. So hopefully we'll talk about that in a second. But Aubrey, 4 3-pointers, 14 points against Alabama State, coming off a good shooting afternoon for you.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is credit to my teammates. I mean, they're always instilling confidence in me, and when I was hot, they got me the ball, so that's helpful.
What do you feel like your role is on this team?
I think it's just honestly whatever's needed at the time. If we need a rebound, if we need a steal, made three-pointer, anything, honestly, just showing up every day and just bringing grittiness.
How would you answer that? Coach?
Yeah, no, well, I think she just nailed it. I think Aubrey, you know, we've talked about this so many times that she's more than a shooter, even though we know she's a great shooter.
Yeah.
We know that. But what is it that they call you? Like the cleanup crew or something like that. They have
The janitor.
Yeah, because she just does, because she does all the little things and she's just willing to do it. And she could be in the sea of a lot of people and all of a sudden she comes out with a rebound and you're like, how did that even just happen? But she does. She just has this really cool grittiness to her. And I think, like she said, she shows up every day, and she shows up every day with a smile on her face. She just turned her final paper in, so she's done with her finals.
Big smile
finals
today.
Yeah,
this
more
week.
smiles.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I mean, she just is. She's just a player that you have to have on your team.
What was your take on the comeback at Louisville from your perspective?
I mean, that's a super exciting win. Anytime you can get a win against a top 25 team, it's going to grow the team closer together. And I think, obviously, we faced adversity in that game, and I think we came out in the second half a lot better than we did the first and stayed together.
We shouldn't move past that game without mentioning Peyton Verhulst, by the way, who was playing against her former school, kind of like Jalen Moore was against his former school in the SEC ACC Challenge. And she played, I mean, she always plays great, but you could tell it meant a little extra to her.
No, but I mean, it took her a second, and I think the thing that was a little bit unique is, we were talking about that because a lot of people obviously had brought that up, and obviously Aubrey has done that when we've gone to Iowa State, and Lexi Keys did that last year when we went to Oklahoma State. Yeah. Only every time Lexi touched the ball, there were loud not cheers for her.
Right.
And Peyton had. They kind of cheered a little bit during, when they announced her name. And so she was well received. Even the security guard that, every game you have a security guard that's with you from a coach's standpoint, because so many people want to come up.
Right.
I just know exactly why they had to say something. Right. And anyway, after the game, she said something to me about, being really happy for Peyton in that because she remembers just how good of a person she is. And I thought that was really neat, right. And a lot of times you don't hear that side from someone like that. So that was pretty neat. But it was not a revenge game for her. It wasn't a bad experience. She took in all the good memories and and she came in with her team and it was pretty awesome. It was really awesome is that we stepped up at the very end of the game and hit all our free throws.
Yeah.
And so she was a huge proponent of that. Nevaeh Tot went 6 for 6 from the line. And that we went 6 for 6 in that last minute of play from a free throw line. So that was pretty incredible for us.
One of the things coaches love about December, I hated when I was a player. I don't know if you agree or not, Aubrey.
The extra practices?
Yes.
Yeah.
Games are so spread apart. Coaches love it. We get to practice, and the players are like, oh, when can we play another game?
Oh, see, ours are so excited about practice. You have it all
right?
wrong,
That's right.
Toby.
Yeah,
you're loving it.
We can't wait to run.
We can't wait to run.
And close out. I wish you would have asked Skylar when she was up here. She's the most excited about it because that's all we got to talk about post-game yesterday through media. Yeah. I know. You should see how excited she is to practice closeouts and box outs.
Cut through the sarcasm in here with a knife, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah.
I know.
Are you getting a lot done, though? Are you enjoying? Because you got like a week between games and everything.
No, absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. And the thing is, too, is this is the time also that sometimes we as fans, especially right now, because right now, I mean, every one of your radio shows is about the transfer portal in football, right? And all of the
women's
things.
Basketball, but yes.
And women's basketball, exactly. Those two things. But what we hear so much is the playoffs and how the scheduling is bad. And then you have this, and then you have the portal, and then you have NIL, and you have all these things that aren't necessarily the most positive, great things, right? But we forget they're also trying to do their finals right now.
They're students.
They're still students. Mm-hmm. And so even though we know this is, turning in this chaotic period of time, they still have the everyday stress of making sure their papers are in on time, making sure those projects are in on time, and they've got to be able to manage taking those tests. And that's not an easy thing to be able to do. And so this is the time, I think, probably more than anybody that gets the reality check as coaches. We see that reality check of that stress that does take a toll on them and the time that they need to spend. So we manage the fun extra closeouts and box outs and all of that with making sure that they're still just coming in. They can check out from finals, get a little bit better at basketball, play kind of hard, and then check back out to become students again. So that's really actually our main focus for this week.
This is an unfair question, Aubrey, because you've got more games to go before the SEC gets here, but we don't have any more shows before the SEC gets here. So are you excited about the new league this year and the new places you're going to go and the opponents and, big time, LSU and South Carolina? This is quite a trek you've got in front of you.
Yeah, I think we're all excited. I mean, we're going to get to face some new teams. And they're obviously all going to be really good. So I think we're just excited for the new experiences and the new places we're going to get to travel to.
What's your familiarity with the league, Coach?
There's a few teams here and there. Obviously, we've opened with Texas, so we know them well. They know us well,
right,
so that'll be something that's
January
similar.
2nd, I believe,
yes.
right out of the gates.
Yep. And, in a year ago in the Big 12, we added new teams. So we kind of experienced the new teams from that standpoint. So, the history of a lot of teams. We've played a couple teams over the years. We've played Ole Miss. We played Mississippi State a couple years ago. We played Tennessee last year. So we've played some teams.
Any coaching acquaintances for you?
Well, I think everybody. Obviously Mulkey and I have fashion shows together.
Is that right?
So,
I wasn't aware of that video.
No.
Yeah.
No, but actually she's been a great resource in terms of just comparison with the Big 12 and the SEC. So I get asked the question all the time about the SEC, but I don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
We haven't been in the same league, so ask me in February.
Until you go to the arenas, you don't know exactly.
Yeah, you can prepare all you want. Now, I do know that when you go and you're at home, it has to mean a little bit more, right? And when you go on the road, you better show up, or anybody can get you. But I don't care what league you're in, you have to show up. So I understand that there's different styles and different abilities, different athletes, different coaches, and I understand that. But at the end of the day, if you don't show up, you don't show up.
Yeah. I will ask you again in February.
You can ask me. We will probably ask this question a lot, I would guess.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Maybe.
We'll see.
Maybe I will now that you've challenged me on
That's
that.
That's right.
Let's take a look at some of Aubrey's highlights. The Alabama State game. I thought it was impressive, Coach, that there wasn't a letdown. I mean, obviously, you're coming off the Louisville win. You saw what happened with Alabama State when they went to Stillwater a couple of nights earlier, but your team came out sharp.
Mm-hmm. No, I thought so too. I thought we came out, and they hit a couple shots, especially at the beginning. And part of their plan was to take our, our post players out on the perimeter and go from a guard standpoint. And a couple people hit some threes that they haven't even shot all year. So I mean, there was some of that right away. But I thought we did a nice job of being able to play together, and I thought we did a really nice job of making adjustments and getting better. And so that's what you want to be able to see in a game like that you can still get better, still have great effort, and we've got to get our depth back. We haven't in our game against Duke that we talked about a couple weeks ago, in our game against Louisville in the last game, we haven't played to the depth that we want to be able to do, and so that's something we're going to continue to work on.
Aubrey, I'm older than you, but I would guess somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,000 times, maybe 100,000 times in my life, I have told people there's a W in my last name, right? I mean, they always spell it wrong. How many times in your life have they got your
I thought
name?
You meant like for a winner. I thought we were going to a cool story.
No, not a cool story. I've just, your last name is Jones, but it's not the normal Jones. So how many times in your life do you think you've corrected somebody's spelling on Jones?
Pretty much every time.
This is a stupid question.
Pretty much every time?
Yeah.
Most of the time I don't say it. I just spell it out.
Oh, okay.
They're like, what? Aubrey, Joens. Then they still do it wrong, and that's okay.
They don't believe you.
No.
They think you've mixed it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, very well. I bet she's got some stories too about where the Z goes.
Yeah.
So, Aubrey, you're a delight. Thanks for being here with us tonight.
Thank you.
Good luck the rest of the year. Coach, keep winning games.
That's right. Thank you.
We'll see you Sunday against ORU,
Merry
and then, of course,
Christmas.
out
Happy
in Charlotte
holidays,
as
everybody.
well. We'll be here to wrap
Boomer.
it up next at Rudy. Stay with us.
Thank you to our Cornerstone television partners, OU Health, OG&E, Fowler Auto Group, and Coca-Cola.
All right, final segment here at Rudy's, brought to you by your Oklahoma Buick GMC dealers. So here's the plan ahead. Bedlam for the men coming up Saturday night, 7 o'clock in the Paycom Center in downtown Oklahoma City. Then Sunday afternoon, the women will host ORU and the LNC at 1:30. Then both teams are headed off to Charlotte, North Carolina for the Jumpman Invitational. Women play Tuesday night, men play Wednesday night. Both teams will take on the Michigan Wolverines. That'll be a great event. That's it for us until after the new year. I hope all of you out there have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We'll see you in 2025. Boomer Sooner, everybody.
Live at Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, bringing you the best in real Texas barbecue. Sooner Sports Talk has been brought to you by Dos Equis, official import beer of OU Athletics. Go for Dos. Enjoy Dos Equis responsibly. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Sooner Sports Network.